mine now.
Well, that pretty much speaks for itself, doesn't it? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the holidays. Ah, yes, the holidays. This holiday, that holiday, all the holidays happening at once. And you know what my favorite thing to do during the holidays is? Well, I grab a nice hot drink, I cozy up by the fire, and I watch the stupidest movie that I can find. And this year, that movie just happens to be so special, I couldn't help but want to share it with all of you. So today we'll be looking at the amazingly terrible, amazing film, Alone for Christmas. Or depending on where it was released, and my personal favorite title for the movie, Bone Alone. Just imagine Home Alone, but instead of Macaulay Culkin running around setting traps for burglars to fall into in the name of the spirit of Christmas. Well, actually, it's exactly like that, but with a dog instead. Now, before we get into it, it's probably worth mentioning that this movie is made by The Asylum, which is pretty well known for making these sort of parody movies. They pretty much rip off everything that comes out of Hollywood, and man, they do it fast. Some of my favorites of theirs would be things like Fast and Fierce, or Ape vs. Monster. Yep. No copyright issues here. I just feel like that's worth mentioning because parody movies can be pretty awesome. They can be. A movie that makes fun of itself while making fun of something else? Great. However, in order to do that, the parody itself has to be well made on its own. You know, clever writing, good enough acting, and decent production, that sort of stuff. As long as the movie itself is watchable enough to make fun of something else, it should be okay. Now, I'm sure no one saw this one coming, but Bone Alone is not one of those movies. In fact, the weirdest thing about this movie is that it doesn't really even make fun of Home Alone directly, pretty much at all. It just sort of steals the basic plot of the home invasion and takes everything else around it, and just makes it worse. But without further ado, let's get into it. I watched it, so you don't have to. Let's take a look at Bone Alone.
Who's there?
Hey, where's the dog?
Shh, keep quiet. Ooh, hello, my beauty.
Oh yeah, there's already a lot to unpack here. So immediately we're introduced to this dog, Cupcake, which, at this point, you might think that's the dog the movie is going to be about. And you would be wrong. Cupcake's voice is interesting.
Show yourself, coward.
I wish I could say some of the other voices in the movie are a lot better, but I can't because, you know, that would be lying. But it's not just the voice of the dog, it's also the voice of these burglars as they're sneaking along the house. Like, you can already tell just from this 30-second scene that the acting is going to be 10 out of 10 in this movie.
The bone works like a charm every time.
Come on, let's get out of here.
And for some reason, even though we're outside, they recorded the voiceover super close to the mic and makes it really sound like an intimate space. Like they're walking across the yard, but at the same time, the voices are like,
Yeah, man, I knew this would work. They always fall for the bone.
So anyway, we see the robbers get into the house, and then all of a sudden, boom! Jump cut into an animated intro song.
Oh boy, I'm really in the doghouse now.
It's December again, my dear friend. I haven't seen you in a little bit. About you I just can't forget all the fun when we were young. We caused some trouble here and there while we were playing truth or dare. Lights all around me flashing, running green. My whole family gathered round the Christmas tree. I don't care about the presents or the food. All I wanna do is be right here with you.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. It's pretty hard to believe they paid someone to do a really shitty 1-minute intro animation with a special song and everything, but I mean, really, this might just be the most well-made part of the movie. Like, this could stand on its own as its own little thing, like a video or whatever. Like, it's not great, but at least it's something. Like, if I got this in an email from my grandma saying, Merry Christmas, I'd be like, oh, that's sweet. You know, she doesn't realize how shit this is, but it's still sweet. I mean, at the very least, this intro movie doesn't waste 82 minutes of my life like the dumpster fire we're about to dive into, so it has that going for it, I guess. So this is where we actually get to meet the characters. We have the family and the two dogs that are the same from the cartoon. The little dog who breaks everything and is just generally kind of an asshole, I guess, and then the big dog who gets blamed for all the mess. And this is where I start to think, what was the point of that intro with Cupcake? It was literally 30 seconds long and seems to have nothing to do with this family, so why add that confusion to start the movie off? Cupcake better make for a good payoff later. That's all I'm saying.
Spoiler alert, he won't.
So yeah, we're introduced to the family, and yes, that is Jerry Russo playing the dad, who, if you're anything like me, you probably recognize from being the dad in Wizards of Waverly Place. And man, do I feel bad for this guy. He tries so hard to pull this movie together, and it just doesn't work. You'll see what I mean in a bit, but man, oh man, just Disney Channel to grasping at straws like this is... oh, it's just not a good look for him. This is where we also see the animation of the dogs' mouths moving while they talk for the first time, and it's hard to explain, but it's just a little bit uncomfortable. Like, not enough to make the movie unwatchable, just enough to make you feel that fight or flight response.
Psst, I heard something downstairs. Columbus. It isn't Santa.
Like, the CG doesn't even necessarily look bad on its own. It's just that watching an entire movie of dogs flapping their lips like this with their cold, dead, staring eyes while they try to crack jokes about what's happening. I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe you all think it looks fine, but for some reason, there's something about this that makes me more uncomfortable than if the dogs' mouths just didn't move at all. Either way, you'll see it a lot. Make your own judgment call. I'll try not to mention it again. Like, wake up, sheeple. Think for yourself. Make your own opinion about CG dog mouths. So things kick off with a really, really stupid scene where the small dog, Columbus, hears a doll crying under the tree wrapped in one of the presents, and he thinks it's a real baby for some reason. Like, this dog is convinced that despite there never being any babies in the house, for some reason someone accidentally wrapped a real baby and put it under the tree.
Do not fear, young maiden, your hero has arrived!
And of course, after the mess gets made, Bone, the big dog, gets all the blame for it, because that's just how the world works, at least according to that intro animation we saw. Okay, not bad. You know, I'll give them that one. They fed us a little backstory, help us figure out what's going on. I'll give it to them. But don't you worry, I will have fewer and fewer good things to say as we move forward. That I promise you. For example, this next scene gives us our first deep dive into what the character dialogue is going to look like for this movie. And boy, is it a doozy.
I have to put my foot down. I am the boss. I am the head of this household.
But Dad...
This one scene alone does such a good job at showing us how bad the script is going to be, especially this kid who's talking on the phone. First of all, he's a phone-obsessed kid who is still using a flip phone in 2013. Just want to point that out.
Are you kidding me? My parents have gone mental. I'd even canceled the whole holiday. Not that it would matter that much. There's barely been any snow this year, so it doesn't feel very merry anyway. I'm telling you, Hunter, this is going to be the worst Christmas ever.
He will do this for the rest of the film. So anyway, because Bone is such a troublemaker, Dad decides that they can't take him with them to Grandma's house because they can't risk him knocking her over or ripping up her furniture.
Bone can't come with us to Grandma's house this year. She's getting too old, and we can't risk Bone knocking her down or ripping up her furniture and...
Sure. Makes sense. I mean, after all, what Dad says goes, because he's the boss and the head of the household.
I am the boss. I am the head of this household.
So they explain that they're going to leave Bone at the kennel, whatever that is. At first I thought it was like a daycare, but then they start talking about how it's like the dog version of jail.
Those kennels are like prison camps. Mean, brutal mutts. I hear if a dog enters a big house wearing a sweater, he'll get shanked.
Okay. This kid grows up to run a dogfighting ring, I swear to God. So even though Bone will likely be stabbed to death, apparently, kids seem fine with it, so I guess we get ready to pack and go to Grandma's, and we're gonna leave Bone at the kennel.
And don't leave any food out for the mice. I don't want this house destroyed before we have a chance to destroy it ourselves.
Oh, and use the shower downstairs, please. The hot water knob is still broken. This house has old pipes.
What the hell does any of this mean? Is this how people talk? Is this aliens pretending to be people? That's what it feels like. Are you beginning to see what I mean about the dialogue though? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like they're trying to make jokes, but even their normal conversation is from another planet, so of course, none of the jokes are gonna land. Like, just listen to this.
The faster we get to Grandma and Grandpa's, the faster we get eggnog.
Yay! Eggnog! 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 What's eggnog?
How is that a joke? You would obviously know if your 6-year-old daughter has had eggnog before. Are you making fun of your own child for not knowing what something is? That's just so stupid. It's like if you were like, hey, sweetie, what's the 5th planet from the sun? The moon? No, you fucking moron, it's Jupiter! What are you, stupid? The moon isn't even a planet, dumbass! So before we can leave the house, we get the same setup as we do in Home Alone, where the soon-to-be burglar shows up on the doorstep, but instead of being a police officer, this time he's a mailman. But the weird thing is that he delivers a package, which means he's actually a mailman, I guess. He's just so invested into robbing people at Christmas that his day job is for setting up heists around Christmas time. And spliced through this whole conversation with the mom, we also get these shots of the daughter packing her suitcase for grandma's, which is stuffed animals and loose cereal.
I'm ready to go.
Great. Like, I know the joke is supposed to be that she's a kid, she's bringing what she thinks is important, but why here? Why now? It's just like the scene with Cupcake where it wasn't funny enough to be included, but it also didn't add anything to the plot, so it was just sort of a waste of time. Like, you have this scene that is actively trying to establish the plot, and then you're taking away from it with this gag that isn't funny. So, what's the point? It just falls flat on its face so hard, and I'm just so tired already. So anyway, we're shown the nefarious nature of our new friend Jake as he opens his mail van to reveal Tweedledee and Tweedledum going through all the mail, taking out the money that people are sending for Christmas. And I know that these two get real names later in the movie, but for simplicity's sake, I don't really care. Tweedledee and Tweedledum will do. So here we get a taste of some more jokes that make absolutely no sense.
$20 from Aunt June. And for Billy, a stick of gum to do something special with.
I really wish there was more context to give you here, but there's not. That's the whole joke. What does that mean? We then see that Bone and Columbus have a bad feeling about the mailman, but of course they have a bad feeling about the mailman. They're dogs. Dogs hate mailmen, get it?
There's something fishy about him.
True. He reeks of fish and body spray. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Seems oddly specific, doesn't it? Just gonna pluck that one. I'm just gonna put that in my pocket for later. See if that comes up. So with the plan to rob the house all revealed, Jake makes a quick getaway. And also decides to run over a small child.
Hey!
So how are we feeling so far? Yes, the movie is bad. There is no denying that. But at the very least, you have to say, it appears to have some level of structure for a plot moving forward. From this point, I think it's fair to say enough has been set up that we could build into an arc and get a somewhat decent storyline out of it. Right? Yeah, no. In the next 70 minutes, you will see exactly why that's not the case. So Columbus breaks the news to Bone that he's not going to be able to come to Grandma's house with them, and Bone realizes that means he's going to miss the big turkey dinner.
I'm going to miss the big turkey dinner.
So that's clearly quite upsetting to him. So here we are at the Barclay, which the family described earlier as Shanks City. I mean, as the Kennel. Where you definitely won't get murdered.
I love Bone, just as much as you do, but he was bad. Wouldn't like it if Dylan opened up all your presents.
Right, like I care about Little Miss Wet myself.
Oh! Epic sick burn! Also, what does that mean? What if Dylan had opened all of her presents? Would you done the same thing as Bone and left your son in this dingy dog kennel for a full week? Just go enjoy dinner with Grandma while your son gets shanked by 12 dogs with pointy sticks? Now that's a movie I'd watch. So now we get introduced to the owner of the kennel, who doesn't really add a whole lot to the story, but he does give what might just be my favorite joke in the entire movie. No, yeah, I'm actually serious when I say that. Just watch this.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Anthony. But my friends, they call me, AAA.
I'm good. What's the other A for?
Other A?
Well, you said AAA.
Oh, yeah, I can see how that's confusing, yeah. So, who's the little guy?
Oh, Bone.
Like, that's not bad. It's really stupid, and the execution was pretty off, but as a joke itself, kind of funny. They got me on that one. I'll give them that one. I'll throw them a bone, if you will. No, you're too much, please. Please, I'm here all day. So Bone gets brought into the kennel, which is actually just this guy's house, I guess, and we see how chaotic it is in here, but we get this really amazing shot of what these dogs running around sounds like from Bone's perspective. Because, you know, all the dogs can talk and understand each other, so they have to be saying something, right?
Oh, delicious. Yay.
I don't know why this is so funny to me, but it's like Bone is set up to be this person-like intelligent being with complex human thoughts, and then he goes into this kennel and these dogs are just fucking dogs. They can say words, but they're still as dumb as a post and just like a normal dog. So anyway, although Dad McFamily Man is a bit hesitant at first, after some hard bargaining from AAA...
I'm gonna give you $10 off.
Oh, it's not that.
$30.
You know, you seem like a nice guy.
$6?
Wait. $6?
I'm bad at this, sir.
He leaves Bone at the shelter and he heads back to the family in the SUV, who apparently have gotten transported to Antarctica because they are in a full-on whiteout blizzard all of a sudden. What happened in the last 5 minutes? Who deleted outside? My main issue with these scenes is how long they go on for. It takes the dad a full 4 minutes to drop Bone off at the shelter. Now that might not seem like a lot, but when you realize we're a full 20 minutes into an 80-minute film, a quarter of the way into a home invasion, Home Alone burglary film, and the family is just leaving. And not to mention, Bone isn't even at the house right now. He still needs to escape and get back there before the house can get robbed. Like, how is Bone even going to get home from this point? The robbers could have fully cleared the house out by now and we'd have no idea. All I'm saying is, I signed up for a dog laying some ridiculous traps for a couple of bumbling idiots who break in. And if we take half the movie to even get close to that point, yeah, that's a problem. But, funnily enough, this is actually kind of a turning point in the movie where all of a sudden, the pacing of the plot starts to go at light speed. Moving forward, there is so much shit happening at all times in multiple scenes at once that it's barely even coherent anymore. So if you haven't already deemed this movie completely unwatchable, which I'm sure any reasonable human being would have, strap in, because it only gets more wild from here. So back at the kennel, we get introduced to...
Hi, I'm... Whoa, what did I...
He's a little spooked, man.
Hey, look, I'm sorry.
Go away!
Sure, but...
Go away!
Or attempt to get introduced to 2 other dogs, but before we can actually learn anything important, like, I don't know, what their names are, we get snapped back to the frozen hellscape known as Family Vacation. And honestly, out of every scene in the movie, these driving scenes with the family are just the most unbearable to watch. And that's mostly for 2 reasons. Number 1, the dialogue is unbelievably cringy and the jokes never land, but when you're in a car driving, there's nothing to do but talk.
Did you lock your bedroom window, Dylan?
Gosh, I hope so. I pray no one steals my awesome new socks.
Dylan, hand me your tablet.
There's no app for Fix My Lousy Christmas. I checked.
Oh, we're only 4 hours from your parents' house. Let's not spoil the kids' appetites.
Yeah, I can't wait for a big bowl of Grandma's leftover mac and cheese.
And number 2, nothing ever happens. Almost all of these scenes could disappear from the movie entirely, and the plot would be pretty much the same.
How about we stop for a little hot chocolate? Huh?
Yeah? You want a hot chocolate, Dad? Let me just ask you, where do you think it is you're going to find a hot chocolate considering the fact you've been banished to the void? So almost immediately we're snapped right back to Bone, which makes that family scene even worse than useless because it just makes it disruptive. But anyway, Bone learns that Cupcake the bulldog here had his house robbed and he wasn't able to do anything to stop them, which of course was the 20-second intro clip that we saw at the beginning of the movie for no reason. Whether we saw it or not, it still happened, we still get the information, meaning the movie could have so easily just started with that animation and song to introduce us to the main characters. What was the point? It's like the people who made this thought if they didn't show us that, Cupcake would tell us about the robbery and we'd be like, but Cupcake says the robbers got in, but I didn't see that happen. When did that happen? And something else Cupcake says is about finding your bite as a dog, like this weird metaphor about your life's purpose.
We all have a bite. Some of us just don't know it yet.
So now the moral to the story is set up in the most ham-fisted way possible. But anyway, through all this blaming himself, Cupcake also reveals what the robbers smelled like.
It was 3 idiot robbers who smelled like fish and body spray.
Fish? Body spray?
Oh, take it out! Take it out of my pocket! Good thing we saved it for later! So Bone obviously figures out that Jake, the mailman from before, is going to try to rob his house as well, so to avoid being stuck in doggy stab town forever like Cupcake is, he needs to go and protect the house. And after this far in, it finally sounds like we're gonna get a Home Alone style movie, doesn't it? Well, not quite yet, because for some reason, Bone's first thought isn't, I gotta get out of here, I gotta go to the house and protect it from the burglars. It's, hey, I should call 911.
Stop them? How? I can't call 911. This room doesn't even have a phone. And we don't have thumbs!
Yeah, that's the joke they decided was so funny, they had to put a drum fill in. So since they can't call the police, I guess, to break Bone out, they hide under a blanket from AAA, which makes them completely invisible somehow, I guess. But they can't get away yet! Not without making a classy fart joke first.
Whoa! Well, he's gonna know we're under here now.
So the third dog, who I don't even think actually ever got a name, shows how vital he is to the plot, I guess. The little dog distracts AAA, and Bone and Cupcake make a break for it.
My belly's getting scratchy.
Ready? Go!
I'm tired. Run, Bone, run! Find your bite.
Okay. Where is this? What is this bridge? Is this a different house than before? Where are we? Back to the family, once again, everybody's favorite. And while they're inside getting their ice cream or hot chocolate or whatever it was, no one seems to care, so why should I? Columbus decides it's time to break out of the SUV and try to get home himself because he heard Bone on the little doggy cam say that he needed to go protect the house. So he tries to recruit the dog next to him in a truck for some help, but when that doesn't work, he decides to crash the SUV. Or, let me be more clear, he releases the parking brake, which allows the SUV to lightly tap the wall and explode the back window. Just like that. And just in case those special effects weren't enough for you to take in, here's another bad joke as the cherry on top.
Dad, better check the policy. The puppy may not be insured as an additional driver.
And the best part about this joke in particular is the entire family just ignores him. Like, even they hate this joke.
Where is Columbus?
There he is!
Yeah. Thanks, Sally Laser Eyes. How the fuck did she see that? They are so far away. So after what seems like an eternity, we're brought back to the robbers. And the reason it seems like it's been so long since we've seen them is because it's been an actual 20 fucking minutes since they were on screen. Like, holy shit, this feels like it happened in a different movie by this point. They're finally ready to go into the house, and this is where things start to get pretty complicated. Originally, we had a Bone in the Kennel A plot and a Family Vacation B plot. Now, that's all exploded. So we have a Bone escaping the Kennel A plot, the family chasing Columbus B plot, the robbers entering the house C plot, and Columbus trying to get back to the house D plot. What the fuck? And it's not like this is just a small area of time in the movie where these things are all going on at once. We will actively switch back and forth between all of these storylines repeatedly for the rest of the movie. So the robbers make their plan to steal everything in the house except for Easy Bake Ovens.
No Easy Bake Oven!
While Bone commandeers a skateboard to make his way home. No, I am not kidding. I can't even waste my time on stuff like this anymore because we'll be here all day. So here you go. Take a look at this. Yep. Let's just keep moving. So at this point, we get the first real clash between Bone and the robbers as he goes by the van and discovers it smells like fish and body spray. You know, as vans tend to do.
And most of the police force is off duty, celebrating with their families and such.
We're clear.
The drama behind the "we're clear" that he does is so good. He's like fighting his inner demons. He's like, oh, it's clear, but oh, there's a dog. Oh, should I tell him? Does it still count as clear if there's a dog out there? Does it matter? What do I do? Oh, what do I do? Well, Bone lightly presses his feet on some tires to set off a bunch of car alarms. That's his big plan to draw attention to them, I guess? Because apparently in this neighborhood, every single person has a car alarm that is sensitive enough to go off from lightly pressing on the tires, and despite this, not a single one of them has home security, which is evident from the fact that these repeat burglars keep hitting every single house on the street. Cool. So the burglars all get scared and they run back to the van, and meanwhile Bone runs into the house through the doggy door and he starts doing what we've all been waiting for, setting up some traps. And boy, oh boy, I know I've been shitting on this movie a lot, but how crazy some of these traps are makes the whole thing worth watching in itself. Some of the traps are crazy in the way that they don't make any sense at all, and some of the traps are crazy in the way that this dog straight up wants to murder these people. Anyway, on to the main event. The traps. So we all know some of the traps from Home Alone could be pretty brutal. Well, just imagine traps like that, but they're set by a dog. And the dog has a bloodthirst that'll never be quenched and the intention of killing every human being he comes into contact with. That's what this movie's traps are like. So I'll give you the quick rundown on how he sets them all up, and then we'll look at how they go off later. So first up, we have the old digging a hole through the entire back deck and then covering it with a mat trick. Oh, a classic prank, really. How long would this take, do you think? Like 2 days, maybe? There's just no way. This would take so long. How strong is this dog? He doesn't even need to set traps. With strength like that, he could probably take out these burglars with one superpowered dog punch. Then we get this shot of Bone just sort of jumbling a bunch of stuff together. Gonna be honest, still don't really get this one. He puts a rubber ball in the shower for some reason? Okay. Candlestick heated up by a curling iron, sure. He sprays glue all over the daughter's stuffed animals on the bed. Gross, and not really a trap, but sure. A bucket of Lego on the floor in the hallway, which, not so much a booby trap for a burglar and more so just a minor inconvenience, but alright. Hot sauce on the hand towel and flour in the dustpan. Are those related in some way? I'm not too sure on that one. There's a couple more traps to come later too, but that's Bone's basic defense setup. I also just really quickly want to mention the prop dog leg that they use for these shots looks almost nothing like Bone's actual leg, but I mean, that's not really a deal breaker. I wasn't expecting Bone the dog to actually put hot sauce on the towel himself and that kind of shit. But anyway, with that, we're ready to go. Let's see how our cartoonishly evil friends handle these traps. So almost immediately, Tweedledee here falls victim to trap number 1 on the deck, and it really hurts him, I guess? Like, it doesn't seem like that far of a drop. I'm not sure why this hurts him so much, but to add insult to injury, well, Bone does this.
Stop! What is happening?
Bone hits him in the head with a frying pan 8 times with the goofiest sound effect in the world playing in the background when he does it. So pretty much right away you can see Bone Bone means business, man. This dude's concussed. Like, they actually make it a point for the rest of this scene to show him, like, stumbling around. Like, he's not okay. The first trap of the robbery, and he is already this hurt. That is just unbelievable. Like, how can it get even worse than this? Well, so after their first failed attempt to get in, they go around to the back of the house where they see that a ladder has been left up from when they were doing their Christmas lights. Not that it really matters that much anyway, because Bone pours dish soap down the ladder, and after some peak physical comedy, we jump cut to a gas station where a man who is definitely not Santa Claus is in his truck.
Are you okay, dear?
Definitely not Santa. Is this a different movie? Did we jump cut so hard we landed in an entirely different film?
We need to take a little road trip, Mother.
Well, Nicholas, we need to be home. Remember the kids.
Oh, they'll be all right. This little one in back needs to be with family.
The way this guy talks is it's just so weird. Like, he's very intentionally talking in his most Santa-y voice, but it's not in a way that makes him sound like Santa. It's in a way that makes it sound like a guy who's trying to sound like Santa. He's a bad actor, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, it turns out this Santa guy is the owner of the truck that Columbus jumped into, and he's in the back talking to his new friend Diesel. And Diesel is...
I've done security work. Salvage yard. Nothing like sinking your canines into an intruder's arm, ripping it out of the socket, and going for the jugular.
Well, Diesel's pretty intense. So the family is literally chasing down Santa Claus, trying to get their dog back. I mean, not Santa Claus. And because Columbus knows he won't be able to get back to the house if they catch up to him, well, we get probably the best scene in the entire movie. I can't even begin to try to describe it, so just watch it.
Stop! We're being chased! If they catch up to us, I won't be able to help Bone!
I've got this.
Really big giant tube apparatus, and we're spinning out of control. Worst Christmas ever! My battery's dead.
For some reason, someone, somewhere, thought that not only is the plot of The Family relevant and important to the story, but we need to spend thousands of dollars on a fake car crash in that SUV, and it has to spin 8 times in a row. Truly remarkable stuff. Back to the real movie for a minute. The burglars finally get into the house through this open patio door, I guess, is what this is. I don't know what this is. Other than a few sticky pads on his feet, Jake seems fine. I guess this is what that bundled mess of stuff was, but I don't know. He seemed to get off pretty good compared to the frying pan beatdown the other guy got, so you win some, you lose some, I guess. Either way, burglars are in the house now, but it's all going according to Bone's plan. I also just want to take a minute and say, like, Bone is without a question the best actor in this film. The CGI mouth might be kind of weird, but, like, the handling of some of these props is like, wow, great job. Real life Bone, if you're still alive, great job. So now we come to one of the strangest traps that was set up earlier, which is the candlestick and the curling iron. So watch this.
Hey, who wants tiramisu?
So first of all, you can very clearly tell that this curling iron or whatever it is nowhere near touching the candlestick anymore. Not sure if this was the second take they did and they forgot to reset all the props, but at this point, wouldn't put it past them. Second of all, usually when you grab something that is scorching hot, you drop it instead of throwing it straight up in the air. And thirdly, how in the fuck did he throw the candlestick out of the bedroom and all the way into the foyer, and how in the world did Jake catch this absolute missile that was coming down from 20 feet above him without even looking? And also, no matter how many times I watch this shot, I cannot for the life of me figure out how he gets hit in the face with this. He has it, he gets hit, and then he doesn't have it anymore. I don't know what's going on anymore. I give up. But hey, I'm the one actually watching the movie. I hope you're not looking for a break from how ridiculous all this is, because oh no, we're just getting started. In fact, immediately after this, Bone tries to drop a chandelier on all of them and kill them on the spot. I told you, man, this dog is out for blood. Anyway, doesn't work. Bone takes off upstairs, and at this point, I was actually kind of hoping that would work and kill them and the movie would be over, but turns out I can't be that lucky. So there's a knock on the door, and the burglars all decide to just answer it, instead of ignoring it. They try to justify it by saying they probably heard the chandelier drop and they're wondering what's going on, but that's not an excuse to give actual real-life witnesses to you robbing a house. Anyway, it ends up being carolers. So they open the door and that's it. Nothing else happens. They just hear the song and then they leave. Just another useless scene strung along in a list of useless scenes loosely tied together by a dog and his murderous intentions. I'm gonna lose it! And I feel like now is a good time to bring this up. Why are they robbing this house in the middle of the day in the first place? They never try to explain why they can't do it at night. They just figure that the family isn't home, I guess, so they can do it whenever they want. But you know why you should rob houses in the middle of the night, even if the family isn't home all day? Probably because carolers don't come to your door at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. Come on, guys. That's like burglary 101. Sounds like someone's got to spend a little more time burgling and a little less time mailmanning, if you know what I mean. So I know I've been ragging on the scenes in this movie for being boring or too long or adding no comedic or narrative value whatsoever. But now we come to the biggest and most blatant sin that this movie has the audacity to include. Does that sound too dramatic? Good. It should. Because I'm pissed. So after finding out that Bone is in the house and actively trying to deter them from robbing it, Jake decides it's time to call in backup. And this backup comes in the form of his cousin, Quentin. Who is Quentin, I hear you asking to your screen right now? Well, in a movie like this one, it's reasonable to assume that none of us have any idea who Quentin is. Well, Quentin is a dog catcher who holds dogs ransom so he can extort the owners to do literally anything he wants. Great. I just want to ask, did you happen to feel the movie shift in tone? Because it was about as subtle as an earthquake. The burglars are in the house. They are in the middle of the robbery, and we have just introduced a bigger, badder villain in the form of Quentin the dog catcher. 45 minutes into our 84-minute runtime. Amazing. Absolutely perfect. Dare I say, beautiful? So we cut back to the family again for some fucking reason, and a brief, predictable, and completely unfunny scene happens where the father and son change the tire.
We're having a father-son manly moment, huh?
Wow, great. Thank you so much for that. But moving on, Quentin is in the house. And immediately, you can just tell by the scar on this dude's face, he's going to pull the, dogs killed my entire family tragic backstory angle, but I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see if that happens. Wait and see, of course, because first we have to be subjected to some more bad jokes.
But I'm not going to do it for measly $50 this time. I want 60. The rest of that bean burrito.
It's a chimichanga.
Deal.
Has anyone who wrote this movie ever heard a joke? Do they know what a joke is? You can't just give a joke 5 fake punchlines in a row and keep it going to make it funnier. It's not one super joke. It's not even 5 shitty jokes. It's just one big, long waste of time.
Suppose you get a lot of scars in your business.
Nothing like the one that I got here.
Damn, now that's deep. I take it back. I guess we don't have to wait to find out what his tragic backstory is, because apparently the first thing he does when he goes to hunt down a dog is trauma dump his entire life story onto anyone who's nearby. So he goes on this 2-minute monologue about how he was in a plane with a bunch of poodles and then the plane crashed and the poodles were biting him in the water and that's why he hates dogs. Like, this whole interaction just feels like a deleted scene. Like, why do we need to know this much about a character that literally got introduced 2 minutes ago? The entire movie at this point is completely derailed. And for what? For a pay me a lot of money but actually only $60 joke? For a bean burrito joke? For a chimichanga joke? So according to Quentin, the best way to lure out Bone is to use the world's first stake on a fishing line technique in full Wile E. Coyote fashion. The only problem with this being when Bone throws the stake into Tweedledum's underwear while he's taking a shit, in this random person's house, mind you. And of course, the pull on the line from the 250-pound grown man is mistaken for the pull of a 60-pound dog, despite his desperate cries for help. So after plan A, stake on a fishing line, goes south so quickly, we logically move to plan B. Shock the dog with an electric cattle prod. Obviously. So now Quentin tries to hunt down Bone with the cattle prod, and he gets distracted by a doll under the tree, which pretty much puts him on the same level of intelligence as Columbus, and, you know, honestly, that probably tracks. The only difference being this time, it's another one of Bone's tricks. So I know I said that shot of the SUV spinning around and losing control was my favorite shot in the whole movie, but I might have to take that back. This part right here has got to be my favorite part of the whole movie. Just watch this. And you know what makes this even better? Do you know what happens next? Is he down for the count and he'll wake up for a final confrontation later? Is he going to recruit the rest of the burglars for a crazy 4-person capture method? Is he a normal human being and he actually died from that explosion? Nope, not quite. Immediately after this happens, he leaves. He gets up and he walks out the front door with nothing more than a "see ya at the family barbecue." And he leaves. 15 full minutes of the movie to introduce this character, get him to the house, get him to dump his whole backstory, and try to catch the dog twice, and he leaves. 15 minutes of build-up to lead to this amazing shot of him being blown up by a toy train as your payoff, and then he's gone. And no, before you ask, he does not come back. Turns out the bigger, badder, real villain of the movie? No. Nothing more than a speed bump. That whole monologue he did? Completely pointless. That's what kind of movie we're dealing with here. I'm about this close to pulling out all my hair, but at the very least, we can go back to the traps now, which is really the best part of the movie. But once again, so much shit has happened between when these traps were set up and when they go off, it feels like a completely different movie again. The way these guys stumble through these traps just makes absolutely no sense at all, and the fact that they went off this way in the first place is nothing short of a miracle. It's not even really worth me talking about Jake tripping on this Lego and then falling all the way down the hallway onto the bed, onto the glue that is somehow still wet, but there it is, just for you. There it is. From there, though, things get real fucked up real quick. So Tweedledum steps on the flour dustpan and throws it all over himself, and he reaches for the hot sauce hand towel to try and wipe it off his face. Innocent enough to be a good Home Alone style prank, but still painful for the burglar. Great. Well done. But wait, it doesn't stop there. So after the hot sauce hand towel doesn't work to get the flour off of him, Tweedledum decides to run into the shower and start to wash his face off. Yeah, not the sink or anything. You know, the place where normal people wash their face pretty much daily. No, he decides to run fully clothed into this random stranger's shower, throw that shit on full blast, and start washing his face. At this point, why the hell not? Aha, but then Bone sneaks over, and with the drain completely plugged, as we can all remember, he locks him in the shower and drowns the man until he's dead. I mean, not really, but that would be pretty cool, right? He does eventually get out, but I mean, look at this. This is just psychotic. Who even thinks of this? Not even just Bone, the magical prediction dog who knew he was going to jump into the shower, but I mean the actual writers. There are real living people who thought of this and they put it in a movie. They don't have any excuse. Oh yeah, and then at the same time, and equally as fucked up, he tricks Tweedledee into falling into the laundry chute and proceeds to shove a lawn dart up his ass?
One pointed lawn dart.
Oh.
And then there's this, which I don't even know how this happens.
Stretch your leg up towards me.
I don't know, I guess he really swallowed that thing up. Also, just want to mention, whole time he's in the laundry chute, he farts. Like a lot. Like the whole time he farts. Don't even really have much to say about it, just feel like you should know. But wait! Similarly to the shower fiasco, this somehow gets more fucked up. So Jake comes and he decides to help Tweedledee by pouring soap down the laundry chute and help him slide out. But meanwhile, it's all part of Bone's plan. As they're soaping up our main man here, Bone decides to run down to the bottom of the laundry chute, and he... Sorry, I just want to make sure I get this right. He decides to light a barbecue and place it at the bottom of the chute. What? Look at how proud of himself he is, too. Like, is this what you wanted, Bone? Have you finally found your bite? Was your bite grilling human flesh all along? This is not the level of prankage I was expecting from a dog. Like, he's a fucking dog, bro. And then back to Santa and the family, because why not? And honestly, nothing happens, and I really don't care. Let's not worry about it. At this point, I had honestly forgotten there was even a second dog at all, so let's just move on. And when we do cut back to the house, it shows our friend here falling onto the barbecue in about 10 seconds. So effectively, all this jump cut to Santa and the family did was ruin the pacing of what honestly could have been probably the best trap scene in the whole movie. Like, seriously, who put this edit together? Who watched this back and didn't go to the hospital to get checked for whiplash immediately? It's probably not going to translate super well to a video of me just talking about what the movie is, as opposed to me actually sitting here watching it, but you just gotta trust me, these jump cuts back and forth ruin what little hope I had of investing in any of this movie. As soon as things are about to get good, it just cuts away, which can work. It can be a thing that a movie can do if you're actually invested in what's happening, but you do it when Bone says, oh, I have another idea. You don't do it when he lights the barbecue and pushes it into place, because then you come back and it's 10 seconds later and the thing happens. You have to leave enough room to rebuild the scene once we go back to it. You can't just throw us into the fire immediately and be like, here's the payoff, because we just came from somewhere else. Either way, I got a bit distracted. You didn't think I was going to let you get through this video without seeing this man's face get grilled by a barbecue, did you? You better not have, because this is it. Beautiful. Don't ask me how he flew face first into this barbecue and didn't knock it over. Don't ask me why he didn't just put his arms out while he was falling, because some questions in life will never be answered. And you just gotta live with that. But after seeing that one, now you really have no reason to watch this movie yourself. So, you're welcome. I'm doing the world a service. So now we get to the big final trick. Or, I mean, we would get to that, but we have to remember Tweedledum is still drowning in the shower. And that's important to remember because, well, I lied. I hate to say it, but I lied. I lied 2 times. This, without a doubt, is the best part of the movie.
A little further.
This scene is just so bizarre for so many reasons. First of all, the CGI is front and center, and let's just say, it's quite the display. Secondly, this is meant to be one of the most climactic scenes in the whole movie, where they finally catch Bone after all this time, and for some reason they thought it was a good idea to have that moment take place in what can be summed up by this barely visible hand in this torrent of water saying gotcha really, really quietly. Anyway, they catch Bone, throw him in the closet, and they're free to take everything they want.
Now fill your bags with presents!
I love Christmas. So now there's a knock on the door again, which is You know what happens when you rob a house at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But this time, it's Creepy Santa.
Merry Christmas!
They read Columbus's tag and took him home. That's pretty much it. So the dogs are finally reunited. I wonder what this means for the story. Oh, I guess we'll never know because we're back with the family for some fucking reason. Like, it's so clear at this point. The movie is not about the family. Why do we keep going back there? I do not care. Show me the robbery. Show me the creepy talking dog. Show me Murder Doggy Defender.
Time to take these guys down. What do you say, little bro? Do you want to help me save Christmas?
Darn, Skippy!
Cry havoc, and let's slip the dogs of war.
Okay, nope, never mind. Take me back to the family, please. So the robbers are successful. They leave with all the presents. They have the dogs locked in the closet, which, I mean, that's kind of fucked up because they know the family's not going to be back for a week. So I guess the dogs are just probably going to starve to death.
They're trapped in the closet.
The family won't be back for another week. There isn't any food or water in there.
Oh, okay, so they are aware of that and they intentionally left the dogs in there to kill them. I mean, that's pretty messed up, but I guess, sure.
Oh, I know they're gonna die. I just want to be there when it happens. Now go get them!
What? I think someone might have went a little cuckoo by the time he spent in that house. Got a little bone personality rubbed off on him. And by personality, I mean murderous intent. So Tweedledum goes back in to, I don't know, kidnap the dogs and go kill them in the van or something. I really don't know. Anyway, the dogs are under a blanket, which, of course, as we all know, makes them invisible. I'll give them credit for that one. It's stupid, but at least it's a callback to something stupid that already happened. So, I mean, it's equally as stupid, but at least this feels earned. You know what I mean? The Tweedledum tells them the dogs are gone, but that's not good enough for old Jakey boy, so they go back into the house. And while this is happening, of course, the dogs actually run out of the closet and escape for real. So yeah, I don't even really have to explain this, but just picture it. They already robbed the house. All the presents are in the van. And they all go back in. They avoided countless lethal encounters with this dog. And they don't just drive away. You got everything you need, fellas. Just drive away. But I suppose they can't drive away when there's one last treasure they're after that is truly priceless. And that treasure is revenge against a dog who barbecued your face. So one super strange edit and post zoom in shot later, find them now! They find the dogs. No, not in the bottom of the water cabinet. I'm not really sure that would be the first place I look anyway, but they find them in the fireplace. Alright, I guess the water cabinet was a fair choice. Yeah, Tweedledee here is distracted by some milk and cookies and he gets his hand caught in a mousetrap that was in one of the stockings, which I'm not really sure how a dog would set that up. But anyway, we get to see the first trick performed by the dynamic duo themselves, the dream team in the flesh, Columbus and Bone. And I think it's an understatement when I say it's a doozy.
The signal! You're mine now!
Keep it tight, Rob. Oh, clench it up. Oh.
When in doubt, kids, just always remember, it all comes back to the farts. Classic comedy. So the last real thing to talk about is the final showdown between Jake and Bone, which honestly is a bit disappointing. It's a lot of, I'm gonna get you sort of choreography, but there is one saving grace at the end of this fight. So there's this absolutely ridiculous part where Bone takes a bunch of silverware and puts it on the treadmill to fly off like missiles at Mach 5 straight into Jake's chest. Why are these going so fast? Why is there silverware in the bedroom in the first place? Oh, and also it ends like this.
Now to ring your doorbell.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Ah!
And with that, Jake is defeated and likely will never speak again. Classic comedy. Honestly, the way this all ends just falls pretty flat, and that's probably not a surprise to anyone, but there's just not a whole lot left to mention. Family comes home and finds 3 robbers under the tree, and 1 minute later, the movie ends.
That's a heck of a couple of watchdogs you got there, Mr. Conley. Protected the whole house.
No, the fuck they didn't. Did you forget about the part where every valuable possession you own is in a van outside your house? They didn't protect your house at all. They just let 3 guys take all your stuff while turning your living room into a torture chamber. But I do have to say, as the one final bizarre twist of events, the Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus characters from earlier turn out to be their grandparents. I don't know, man. They don't seem to realize or care that they were at this house an hour ago to drop off Columbus. They didn't even recognize Columbus as the family dog for some reason. There's so many things about this that just make no sense. Like, they try to justify it because he says, "Oh, this is your new house." But that makes it make even less sense somehow. Like, how did they read the tag to take Columbus to this address, but not realize it was the same address that the son had given them for the new house? And also, the whole point of the road trip was to go to Grandma's for Christmas dinner. Meanwhile, Grandma and Grandpa were in the truck on the way to their house? Like, what? I just can't.